Hello, welcome or welcome back. I'm Ari, and today I am talking about the 22 books that I want to read in 2022. Now, couple of disclaimers, I guess, before we get in here. Basically how I found these books was I decided to go through my digital TBR, so like everything that I've added to my want to read list on Goodreads, and kind of go through there and be like, okay, these are the books that I maybe put on this list a long time ago and I still want to read. And I started with the oldest and worked my way down until I got to 22. I own some of these books, but I don't own all of them. And I tried my best not to put anything that I have on like a 5-star predictions list or any other list that I have done in the previous months. Small advertisement thing, I guess. I have taken all of the books that I don't own already from the list that you're about to see and put them on an Amazon wish list, which is always linked down in the comments below. If you have a desire to buy me any of these books, if it's not on that wish list, then I already own it. And I know my boyfriend went hard on that wish list for my birthday. Some of them have arrived already. Additionally, down in the description, you can always find like a coffee if you want to buy me a coffee, that Amazon wish list, and a couple of affiliated links. I also want to note that this is my 33rd video in a row because I did Bookmas, and somehow the last day of November and the first day of January happen to be my regular uploading days, which is Tuesdays and Saturdays. So in addition to doing 31 videos for December, I added 2 extra videos on either end of that just for my normal upload days. So yeah. Anyway, let's get into these books. These are in really no particular order. And some of them I don't know a whole lot about, but we'll go. We'll put it on this side because that's where I have more room. Scooch, scooch. Okay. So first I have The Cabin at the End of the World by Paul Tremblay. This is a horror book that I've heard like a lot of good things about. This is like one of those books that has been hyped for a long time and people still talk about it and still talk about like how crazy and how great it is. So I'm interested. Then we have The Furies by Katie Lowe. This is the lowest rated book on my TBR, and I hear that it is unlikable female characters and that most people like really hate it, which intrigues me. Then I have Ink and Bone by Rachel Kane. This one I don't know a whole lot about, but I think it's about a magical library, and I like magical library books. Next is A Lesson in Thorns by Sarah Simone. This is a romance, an erotica romance, and I think it was last year or maybe the year before, a lot of people were talking about how fantastic the smut scenes in this were, so I'm a little interested. Then I have The Library of the Unwritten by A.J. Hackwith. I can't read my own handwriting. And this is another magical library. I think this is a library in hell where all of the unwritten or unfinished books go. And something like a book character escapes. That might not be an accurate description. Then Spinning Silver by Noon. We know that this is my sister's favorite book, and one I already own. Actually, I think Uprooted is her favorite book, maybe. And I don't have Uprooted, I have Spinning Silver. But I want to read Spinning Silver before I purchase Uprooted. We'll see. Then Caraval by Stephanie Garber. This is another one of those books that BookTube talks about all the time. It's about a carnival. I don't really know, but everybody seems to love it and talk about it years and years after it was published. After that, I have To Be Taught If Fortunate by Becky Chambers. This is a very short novella. I absolutely love Becky Chambers. She's one of my favorite authors. And she's one of those authors where, like, you know, you're just going to enjoy your time with her book and her writing. They're so sweet and wholesome, and it's just gonna make your day. Next up, I have Disfigured by Amanda Leduc. This is a nonfiction about disability in fairy tales and how the villains of fairy tales tend to be disabled and how that's problematic. Next up from that is No Visible Bruises by Rachel Louise Snyder. This is another nonfiction about domestic violence. After that, on a lighter note, I've got Desperate Measures by Katie Roberts. This is a Aladdin retelling, but it's smut, and it's in a series where the villains are the love interest. So it's like Jasmine and Jafar are doing it. And this has been a lot of meme videos on YouTube, so I want to get in on this. Next up, Dig by A.S. King. I've heard nothing but how weird this is, and y'all know I like me some weird books. Next up is The Beauty by Aaliyah Whiteley, and this is like a dystopian novel where all of the women in the world have died, but I don't think they're actually dead. I think they're just asleep and there's mushrooms growing out of them. But it sounds kind of icky and super weird. Then the Book of Coli? I have no idea how to pronounce this. I'm gonna say Coli by M.R. Cavey or Carvey. Again, I can't read if that is a V or an R in my handwriting, so we'll just move on. I don't 100% remember what this is about, but I also think it's dystopian and I also think it's weird. And I like the cover. Next up is Tender is the Flesh by Augustine Bazterrica, and this is a futuristic horror dystopian where people eat human flesh, and it's from the perspective of a meat processor, like a person who is a meat processor. Next up is Brothel by Stephanie Wydovich, and this is a poetry collection, and I think it's a horror poetry collection, which I've never read horror poetry, but I like short horror, so I'm very interested. Next up is Blood Countess by Lana Popovic, and I don't know what this is other than it's pretty graphic, and I think my author friend Deidre Jake recommended it to me, and she said she wasn't sure if I would like it, but it sounds like something that I might like. So I put it on my TBR, and I haven't got around to it yet, but hopefully this year, right? Next up is Malice by John Gwynne. I read my first John Gwynne book in November and I really liked it, which was The Shadow of the Gods. And I want to read his earlier works because I've heard very, very good things about this series. Next up is Screaming for Pleasure by S.A. Bradley. This is a nonfiction book about why we get joy out of horror. And I like horror, so I thought it was fun. Next up is a classic, and it's The Custom of the Country by Edith Wharton. This is the last full-length novel by Edith Wharton that I haven't read yet. So I want to finish out my collection of Edith Wharton titles and read this one. Next up is Ball of Fire by Stephen Canfer, and this is a biography about Lucille Ball, which I know that Lucille Ball movie with Nicole Kidman comes out, and I kind of want to read this book and watch the movie and see how each of them tell the story and maybe see which one is better. The final book on this list, number 22, is Killers of the Flower Moon by David Graham. Killers of the Flower Moon by David Gran. This is a non-fiction story of the Osage murders in Oklahoma, where the Osage tribe found oil on their land and became very, very wealthy, and then they started getting murdered. Like specifically one family started getting murdered, and it was kind of like the founding of the FBI was investigating the Osage murders. So interested in that book. I've been interested in that for a while, but haven't read it. So those are the 22 books. If you have any like ones of these that you think I should make a priority, let me know. I will probably do a recap video in December where I go through and I see like which ones of these did I actually read, which ones I didn't, did I lose interest in anything, maybe what I thought about them, that kind of thing. So if you really want to see me read one of these books, maybe you really liked it or you are thinking about reading it and you're not sure and you want somebody else's review before you get into it, leave it down in the comment below. Anyway, I will see you Tuesday. I'm so glad that I just got to say I won't see you tomorrow. Because this has been a ride. Anyway, I will see you Tuesday, and bye.